the odds and free shipping on your entire order. You can't beat that. You'll love the results you feel with your first free canister guaranteed or your money back. 800-481-0504 or go to savagelovesbeats.com.
What are you doing to stop traffic when your business is ready to wow the pants off customers? Visit Sir Speedy. We produce quality signs, posters, banners, and more that are just a trick for trade shows, promotions, events, and product launches. Whether you're taking it to the street, the floor, or the counter, bigger is always better. For more information or to get a quote, go to SirSpeedyNewOrleans.com.
Hey, folks, this is Jeff Cruaire. Join me at 7 a.m. till 11 right here on WGSO 990 a.m. or Ringside Politics with a Punch. We're going to be bringing you great guests. We'll discuss the latest hot topics and, of course, taking your phone calls. On Thursday, we'll be broadcasting live from the Republican National Convention here in Cleveland. Ringside All-Star Nick Verrecchio will join us, as well as members of the Louisiana Republican delegation on the final day of the big convention. All of that and more right here on Ringside from 7 to 11 on WGSO.
We're here to fix the machine.
Battlefield Live. You're listening to the Battlefield Live with Chris and Trey on WGSO 990 AM in New Orleans. And, of course, the Lanterns Radio Network. Thank you for joining us tonight. Hump Day, middle of the week, almost halfway through. By the time we get finished this particular show tonight, we will be off and running, screaming our way toward the weekend. We've got a great program for you tonight. Of course, my partner in crime, Chris Pilier, is on vacation. I'm waiting to see if he will be joining us. He may, but we got a great show, a great lineup. It's kind of like ladies' night tonight here on the Battlefield Live. Coming up in about 10 minutes from now, Robyn Walensky. Many of you may remember Robyn. Robyn was the morning co-host here in New Orleans for many months. I don't know if it was for many years. She was on the Kastner and Walensky program in the morning at a local station that shall go unnamed. But she's now the senior news anchor with The Blaze, so she'll be joining us at 9:15 to discuss some of the things going on with the Republican convention tonight. Of course, Ted Cruz just wrapped up his speech, and right now Eric Trump is addressing the Republican National Convention. Coming up at 9:30, we have Lea Carawan. She is the president and executive director of the Congressional Prayer Caucus Foundation, and she is going to be talking to us a little bit about, not many people know this, but it is the 60th anniversary this year of our national motto, "In God We Trust." And so she's going to share a little bit about what she's doing. She's touring the country, going to both the Republican convention and next week the Democratic convention, and just trying to remind people that our national motto is a huge answer to many of the problems that we see facing our country and plaguing our country today. In God we trust. So we'll talk to her at 9:30. And then at 10:05, we're going to be joined by author, by scholar and commentator Ann R. Pierce. She's going to call in. She's got a new book called The Perilous Path, the misled foreign policy of Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and John Kerry. So that's going to be some interesting. Anytime you can get a chance to talk to some folks that specialize in a certain area, it's always great. So we've got a great program, so you're going to want to stick with us all the way through from top to bottom. And, of course, looking at the news today, I don't know if you've been keeping up with everything that's been going on, but, of course, the big story right now is still the Republican convention. And the big takeaway that kind of got leaked out to the media about tonight's speech, of course, was the Ted Cruz speech. And will he or would he not endorse Donald Trump? And the speech just ended maybe not even 10 minutes ago, and he did not. He did not come out and formally endorse Donald Trump. He called for the party to lift up its principles and to be around the principles of which the Republican Party is supposed to stand for. There's been some really big tonight's a really big night. You had Vice Presidential nominee Governor Mike Pence from Indiana. He gave his speech tonight and kind of let the nation know who he was. Many people in America don't know Mike Pence, so that was kind of big. You've got Laura Ingraham, radio personality and talking head on different news agencies. She was unleashed, according to the Drudge Report tonight. She was unleashed. And one of the statistics that I stumbled across a website today about law enforcement. It's called ODMP, Officer Down Memorial Page, odmp.org. And what it basically does, it shows the logo, if you will, of officers that have died this year. And if you go back to, we lost Officer Natasha Hunter here in New Orleans when she was struck by a vehicle. I can't remember, and I really feel bad about that. I can't remember. I don't think it was malicious in intent. I just think it was a really bad accident. But where my attention toward a lot of these officer murders taking place was one that actually took place just a couple of blocks from where I work every day, literally. And I'm looking for it here on the site. I think it was in the beginning of or end of June. This makes for great radio, I know. Well, the officer that I'm referring to, here we go, is Deputy Sheriff David Michel. Dave Michel was murdered by a suspect that he was attempting to question and pull aside, and it was right there on Manhattan. I work right at the end of Manhattan and just a couple blocks down. Office that was on June 22nd. Now think about that. That's something happened here locally on June 22nd, and since then there was a police officer also in Louisiana from the Sterling Police Department, Sergeant Dave Elahi. There was a vehicular assault. You had Deputy Sheriff Paul Clark out of St. Francois County, out of Missouri, another vehicular assault. Then you had, of course, the 5 officers in Dallas, and all of them were murdered with gunfire. You also had in the Michigan, and this one didn't really get talked about, but it was a security supervisor, Joseph Zangaro. He was killed by gunfire. You had another officer, Berrien County Sheriff Department in Michigan, also Officer Ronald Kinsleal. He was killed by gunfire. Assault, a corrections officer, Marie Johnson, out of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. She was killed. Then, of course, you have the 3 in Baton Rouge. So Louisiana's kind of been ground zero for these sorts of things. And another correctional officer in Pennsylvania. And the most recent was Tuesday night, just last night, or yesterday rather. You had Captain Robert David Melton out of Kansas City. Since Officer David Michel, and that's pretty close to home here, of course, but since that time, there have been 13 police officers murdered. And I just don't believe that we're going to see any slowing of that down anytime soon. And I think we're going to see an increase, and it's really unfortunate. And so I just ask if you are any person of any kind of faith, just to continue to keep our men and women who put on the Kevlar. You know, I don't put on Kevlar when I get dressed in the morning, and they do. And so maybe you just ought to think about that and say a little prayer and ask for a little bit more protection on these men and women as they literally get out there. And for us, they protect and serve. So when we come back, we're going to reach out to Robyn Walensky from The Blaze, senior news anchor. So we'll try to get in touch with her and have her on as our guest coming up next. So stick around. Great program for you. Trey Roberts, Battlefield Live, WGSO 990 AM. We'll be right back.
Playmakers Indoor Sports. TOTS program is one of Playmakers' most popular. Our professionally developed curriculum provides our TOTS with a variety of fun games and exercise in a positive, enjoyable, and exciting environment. These great games help your little one develop their motor skills, create confidence, improve their listening skills, and learn how to follow directions, all while promoting fitness and activity. Our TOTS groups range from 18 months to 7 years. Sign up your little tot today or call 504-305-6078. Playmakersindoor.com. Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean,
like
this is totally fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, every day men and women across this beautiful country are seeing something they never thought possible. They're seeing bags and puffiness under their eyes. Just go away. Disappear. That's right. Like you, Kathy from Dearborn, Michigan, probably thought nothing would work for her. Then she tried Genucel, and she wrote the following. Genucel is a great product. I don't have bags, but I had an odd puff under one eye. It is now totally gone, thanks to the Genucel. At first, it would come and go. After 2 weeks, it did not return. I am very happy. No, it's not just Kathy. I use Genucel. You too can get rid of these bags and puffiness, and with the Genucel immediate effects, you'll lose years off your appearance in just 12 hours. Genucel will work for you or your money back. That's guaranteed. Call 800-SKIN-891. 800-SKIN-891. But it gets better. Order now, and Chamonix will include the Platinum Dark Circle treatment absolutely free. Order now and priority shipping is also free. You don't wait. Call 800-SKIN-891. That's 800-SKIN-891. 800-SKIN-891.
Welcome back to the program. Trey Roberts, Battlefield Live, here on WGSO 990 AM. And, of course, if you want to be a part of the program, we'd love to hear from you, 504-556-9696. If you have any thoughts about the recent spree of killings here in the country. And Louisiana's kind of ground zero. You've got Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and some other rural parts. So we've had a number of police deaths recently. But now we want to go ahead and bring on our first guest. A lady who truly inspired me and got me bit by the radio bug to even want to venture in to a studio and get behind a mic, and that is the Blaze's own Robyn Walensky. Robyn, welcome to the program.
Hey, how are you?
I am wonderful. So did you get an opportunity to witness firsthand Senator Ted Cruz's speech that just ended a little while ago?
You know, I did not. I was at another location. I was actually at the hotel. I don't want to say which hotel it was.
No.
But I was actually at the hotel where the Trump children are all staying.
Ah.
I kind of got caught up in sort of a gridlock moment situation. So, no, I did not see it or hear it. But if you tell me about it, I'm more than happy to comment.
No. Well, the thing about it is I was driving in from Slidell, so I got a chance to hear the whole thing. I rather enjoy listening to their speeches so I can hear the content and not really react to body language that might give me just a wrinkled nose kind of impression.
Right.
But there sounded like at the end there was some sort of on-the-floor ruckus toward the end of his speech, and I was just curious if you saw maybe what that was. But
I did hear that there was some boos in the audience. I think that there has been a rift between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. Obviously, Ted Cruz is, Tea Party. He been my senator in Dallas, Texas. And, Donald Trump was calling him Lying Ted. So there has been friction between these two.
Right. I thought it was interesting. One of his lines where Ted Cruz said, I really appreciate the excitement from the New York delegation. And I think that kind of triggered.
Well, that goes back to when he was talking about New York values.
Right.
So, and again, and I think that conservatives understand what that means.
Absolutely.
And I lived in New York City for the healthy majority of my adulthood. And, people understand what that means in conservative America because, New York is extremely liberal. So, listen, I think that Ted Cruz would make a terrific Supreme Court justice. I think he really knows the law. He knows the Constitution. He can recite it by heart. They're two very different people.
Do you buy any of the talk that tonight's speech by Ted Cruz was really the beginning of his run, regardless of whether or not Donald Trump wins? There's been some talk that he is going to challenge, if Trump wins, him for the nomination in the Republican primary in 2020. And, of course, if Hillary wins, he's obviously going to challenge her in 2020 as well. Do you agree with that?
I think that there's been a lot of talk about that he has obviously aspirations beyond 2016. But, you never really know what's in a man's mind or heart. We don't really know. Does he really want to be president? Does he really want to sit on the Supreme Court? Only he knows that. And it's very hard to speculate.
We're joined right now by The Blaze's senior news anchor, Robyn Walensky. And, of course, if that name sounds familiar, she spent a number of months and probably years, if I remember correctly, here in New Orleans as a morning drive time personality, a staple in the community. And Robyn, let me ask you this. You are you now have, some people would say in media, kind of a dream job working with Glenn Beck and The Blaze, and you're in Texas and all that's wonderful and stuff. But what's your take right now as far as, is this convention that we're seeing with the Republican Party, is it really at least it's not Hillary, or is that just spin from the mainstream media?
That is total spin from the mainstream media, because I really believe, I'm all over the country. I'm traveling all the time.
Right.
I'm talking to cab drivers. I'm talking to people at bars. And I'm telling you, the sentiment that I get from the American people is that after 2 terms of Obama, we are in trouble as a country. We have crime. We have ISIS. We have people shooting police officers. There's no respect. And I think that the issue is that people want someone to bang down the door and turn over the table. And I believe that there is a perception in this country that person is Donald Trump. And I think that a lot of people are lying in the polls. I think that just like what happened in Europe with the vote, that a lot of people, I think personally, if I'm in Vegas and we're at the table, black and red at roulette, I'm telling you that this is going to be, my prediction, a Ronald Reagan 1980 landslide.
Wow. And I'm assuming that you mean in favor of the Republican nominee.
I really believe that Donald Trump is going to come through. I lived in New York City, and I was a street reporter for many, many years in my 20s and 30s. And if you're a street reporter in New York, you come across Donald Trump. He used to do the Atlantic City Miss America pageant. I was sent on that assignment over the years, and he was doing all sorts of things. We're doing the ice skating rink in Central Park, which his son Eric talked about tonight just now in the speech, and how he could get it done, and the city was wasting millions and millions of dollars over a decade, and Donald Trump looked out the window from his residence and every day looked down on this thing and put $2 million of his own money in it, and the thing was finished. It was done. I ice skated there. And he has done things in New York that people just could not do. I'll tell you this, post 9/11, Rudy Giuliani has said it. I interviewed former New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik today. It was Donald Trump that went down in the middle of the night to Ground Zero and rallied the first aid workers and all the people down there. He donated resources. He never wanted anyone to disclose that he was actually doing all these good deeds. I'm just stating facts. These are just facts that if you lived in New York or New Jersey, you would know. So listen, I think it's going to be up to the public. Do you want Hillary Clinton, who's very well known to the American people, and her record stands for itself, for better or for worse? And I think when people go into the voting booth this November, it's going to come down to who's going to keep me safe.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that it could be a little bit of perception over reality. I do have as a staunch conservative, I have my doubts about Mr. Trump's bona fides. However, I do have my fingers crossed that the right people around him can influence him to shake things up, as you said. One last question before we let you go.
Sure.
Do you think that tonight, because Ted Cruz did not come out and openly endorse Donald Trump, do you think he'll be faced with any sort of blowback, considering he was one of the ones who signed the Republican pledge to whoever the nominee is, that he will support them? Do you think that could be something down the road? Is that just kind of a character flaw? Is that will that affect him at all, do you think?
No, I just don't think that, listen, I like Ted Cruz. I think he's an intellectual. I think he's smart. He's done some very good things in the Senate. I just don't think that his message is resonating right now with the American people. I think that he has time on his side. He is young. We don't know what the future holds. Maybe he'll come back into it again. I think but his campaign did not catch fire. And the American people right now are afraid. We have ISIS. We have police officers, both black and white, being shot. Our country is out of control. And I think that just from kind of a physical standpoint, when you just as an objective party, when I looked at all, 16, 17 candidates on the stage,
right? Who
was the person that looked large and in charge? And that's who we have as our candidate on the right. It's very visual for people that don't follow the news like you do and I do. You turn on your TV one night and you have 17 men standing up there. Who's in command and control? And that's who America is. At least 50% of America might vote for him.
That's absolutely true. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you, Robyn, for joining us tonight, and we would love to have you back in the future, especially as things heat up and breaking news happens. We'd love to get you to weigh in on those opinions.
Absolutely. And anytime. Stay safe now.
Thank you very much. That's Robyn Walensky, senior anchor for the Blaze, theblaze.com. Check her out. If you listen to the Blaze Radio, you can check her out. And, of course, you can follow her on Facebook as well as on Twitter. We're going to take our break. When we come back, we're going to reach out to Lea, and she'll be coming in from the Congressional Prayer Caucus Foundation. Trey Roberts on the Battlefield Live on WGSO 990 AM.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean,
like
this is totally fascinating.
Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
Join us at Playmakers Indoor South every summer and holiday for our multi-sport camps. $25 a day, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. with before care from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and after care from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. available for $5. Soccer, flag football, basketball, wiffle ball, relay games, lacrosse, and much, much more. Plenty of spots available. Contact Playmakers Indoor Sports, 6124 Jefferson Highway in Harahan, or call 504-305-6078 or sign up today at playmakersindoor.com.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
November 8th is when America feels safe again. Because that's when America wins again.
Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi addressing the Republican National Convention as delegates await remarks by Ted Cruz and by Donald Trump's running mate Mike Pence. Cruz just starting to speak at this hour, but a little bit earlier.
America, you have a choice. You decide.
Former candidate himself and Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker addressed the delegates, saying America deserves better than Hillary Clinton.
Why? Because America deserves better.
Ohio's Governor John Kasich not speaking at the convention. In fact, he's not even there, but the New York Times reports he was approached about being Donald Trump's running mate back in May, but declined. This is USA Radio News.
We all want to live long, healthy lives, and we know that smoking is not a part of making that happen. We all know the dangers, but we also know that it's tough to quit smoking and make it stick. And that's where NicoBlock comes in. It comes in a little bottle. And when you put it on the filter of your cigarette, it blocks the inhalation of tar and nicotine. So you got to check this out. Go to nicoblock.tv and find out more. You can also call 877-835-6060. Now, whether this is your first time quitting or your fifth, NicoBlock is your best chance to stop smoking for good. The taste doesn't change, and neither does your satisfaction. But what does change is your dependence on nicotine. And as you increase the number of NicoBlock drops, you'll gradually decrease your tar and nicotine intake. It's that simple. It's gradual. It's effective. Call 877-835-6060. Stop smoking. Make it for good this time. 877-835-6060 or go to nickelblock.tv.
This is Jeff Cruier with my commentary of the day. After another deadly shooting in Baton Rouge, we've seen far too many of our police officers targeted by radicals and folks that are connected with racist organizations. In Baton Rouge, the killer was Gavin Long, associated with the Nation of Islam. The killer in Dallas was associated with the Black Panther Party. We've seen violence from those associated with Black Lives Matter. Here's the thing. All lives matter. Police officers, Americans of all races. It's time for America to come together to fight crime. And we need political leadership that is going to tell the American people exactly what we are facing. We're facing an attack on unity in this country, an attack on law and order, and we desperately need new leadership that's going to emphasize law and order and emphasize that this is one country. Americans of all races need to come together to promote this great land. More info on this and the other hot topics of the day, check out ringsidepolitics.com.
Did you know there's an approved healthcare choice just for Christians that's founded on the timeless principles in God's Word? It's not insurance. It's MediShare. Over 189,000 believers across America who love God and share each other's healthcare bills. It's about half the cost of health insurance, and you never pay for medical practices that go against your Christian beliefs. Best of all, The healthcare law includes a special provision for Medishare members, so you don't have to buy insurance or face penalties. Medishare is affordable healthcare without compromise.
Learn how thousands of Christians can help you save on your healthcare. For your free information guide, call 844-43-BIBLE. Not available in Montana. Medishare, affordable biblical healthcare. Call 844-43-BIBLE. That's 844-43-BIBLE.
504-556-9696 is the number if you want to be a part of the program. This is the Battlefield Live with Chris and Trey. Chris is on vacation, so Trey Roberts is flying solo in the big chair, and it's kind of like ladies' night tonight. We just got finished talking to Robyn Walensky over at The Blaze. She's the senior news anchor over there at The Blaze and longtime radio personality here in New Orleans. And we're going to go right back to the phone lines and back to the guest hotline for WGSO 990 AM, and we're going to bring in Lea Carawan, who is the president and executive director of the Congressional Prayer Caucus Foundation. The Congressional Prayer Caucus Foundation is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization established to unite and mobilize government leaders nationwide committed to protecting religious freedom and preserving America's Judeo-Christian heritage. Good Lord, that is so needed right about now. Lea, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Trey. It's great to be with you tonight.
I was very excited to find out everything that you're involved with, from the foundation to the U.S. national motto. So I want to jump right in, and I don't know if we'll get to everything, but tell us a little bit about the Congressional Prayer Caucus Foundation for maybe folks who are not familiar with what your organization does.
Sure, absolutely. We're associated with the Congressional Prayer Caucus. Many people may not know there's an official U.S. House caucus, nearly 100 members of the U.S. Congress who are part of this caucus, and they are committed to, like you said, protecting our religious liberties and advancing Judeo-Christian principles in the future of America. And also, we have built a network nationwide in nearly 31 states. We have legislative prayer caucuses, nearly 700 elected government leaders who are committed to this. And that's why it's so important that people understand who their elected officials are and what they're fighting for, because I get so frustrated when people talk about the government as if it were one person. It's thousands of people, and many of them think, just like you and I, that it's time to redirect this nation, and they're working on the front lines every day. They're praying. They're taking action. They believe, just like you and I, that the country's going in the wrong direction, and they're doing everything in their power to redirect it.
Now, Lea, let me ask you this. Clearly, this is not a group, and I'm referring to the Congressional Prayer Caucus. This is not just a group of Christian, conservative, registered Republicans. I mean, I would assume that this is a bipartisan caucus, correct?
Absolutely, yes. Almost all of our prayer caucuses are chaired bipartisan, and the reason is because we are focused on and united around one concept, which is that America must remain a free nation, a nation where we protect the religious liberty of all people. But there's a second thing that these people also understand, which is what our founders so brilliantly established in this nation, which was that every nation reflects somebody's values, and in America we must continue to reflect Judeo-Christian values if we want to remain a free republic. That's why you have to do both at the same time, protect everyone's religious freedom, independently, freedom of conscience, but you must also protect corporately our national laws and policies must reflect Judeo-Christian values.
I thought it was very telling. First of all, before I jump into Senator, did you get a chance to just hear a few minutes ago Senator Ted Cruz's speech at the RNC?
Just bits and pieces of it, not the whole thing.
I'll get to that in a second. But part of the idea of a Judeo-Christian heritage, Chris and Chris is on vacation, so I know he's really upset that he didn't get a chance. Every time I have great guests, he's never around. He'll be sure to remind me of that fact. But we talk about worldviews a lot, and we talk a lot about the biblical Christian worldview as opposed to a Marxist worldview or a secular humanist or a Islamic worldview or even like a pantheistic or kind of a new age or cosmic humanistic worldview. When we talk about, the term Judeo-Christian kind of gets the definition or the meaning of that kind of gets lost for most people. If you could give your understanding and definition of when you talk about America's Judeo-Christian heritage, what exactly, to maybe someone who hears that but doesn't understand it, what exactly does that mean?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, we started with an attitude of respect and reverence for the existence of a creator. And that's where I want to start with this. It's not some understanding that every person knows Jesus Christ as their Savior and every person calls themselves a born-again Christian. But what it does mean is that we have an understanding and an attitude that there is a creator and there's a higher power that we are all men are beholden to, and that is expressed through all of our founding documents, evidenced on our monuments, repeated and reaffirmed by our leaders from the beginning in the foundation, and this sort of faith, and this faith comes from the teaching of the Bible. That's why I say Judeo-Christian, because that is the writings that Judeo-Christian principles and worldview come from is the teachings of the Bible. So we cannot separate the faith and freedom. They're so utterly tied together. You really cannot consider one without the other.
That's right.
Which is why it's so crucial that we understand where the true north is and the foundational principles in which this entire country rests.
And one of the things that Chris and I, the respect that the country had, even I would say maybe up to just 50 years ago, the respect of the Judeo-Christian ethic that also comes from from the Bible and from Scripture, that there's no real other religion that, like Christianity, for instance, that we are compelled and commanded to share our faith with folks that don't believe like us, but we are never compelled to force people to have faith. And there's not another worldview or ethic or culture that could have founded a country like America that produced the kind of success and freedom and liberty. I mean, you just take any of the competing worldviews or cultures that we see today, and there's just simply no evidence historically, empirically, that another heritage, another ethic, another worldview could have done what a Judeo-Christian worldview has done in the example of America. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. America can only stay free if the majority of people choose to be moral with an internal motivation, which coincides with Judeo-Christian values. And we have to be controlled either by a power within us or by a power without us. That's why Robert Winthrop said, we can have it no other way. We're either ruled by the Bible or the bayonet. And America is free when the populace, having an awareness of God, modifies their behavior, and that is only done by a people who choose to follow a religious guideline, and again, a specific one, which is the Christian or Judeo-Christian guidelines and principles that are spelled out in the Bible.
I think back to de Tocqueville, and de Tocqueville talked about going around trying to discover what made America great. And it wasn't her harbors and it wasn't her schools and public institutions, but it was the pulpits that were ablaze with the message of liberty, and that America was great because America was good. And the goodness, obviously as Christians, we know none are good in that sense, but we do know that there is a virtue that comes from living a life that is placed under the submission of the teachings of Jesus Christ and Scripture, that ultimately allows us to love our neighbors as ourselves and to be to love the Lord with all of our heart, mind, and soul. And the Tocqueville said, we're in a convention right now that we're trying to make America great again. And de Tocqueville told us that if America ceases to be good, it will cease to be great. And I just wonder if we have possibly dipped into the realm of ceasing of being good and maybe have lost a little bit of that greatness. But I do believe in the people, we can get that back. We're going to go to a break real quick. Can you stay with us for one more segment?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. When we come back, I want to talk about the 60th anniversary of the United States motto, "In God We Trust." And we'll talk about that with Lea Carawan from she's the executive director and president of the Congressional Prayer Caucus Foundation. So stick around for that. We'll be back after this quick timeout on the Battlefield Live on WGSO 990 AM.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com. Playmakers Indoor Sports is a state-of-the-art indoor turf facility offering leagues, drop-in play, field rental, parties, camps, clinics, and a whole bunch more. Play includes adult and youth in soccer, lacrosse, flag football, and more. For more information, go to www.playmakersindoor.com. Like us on Facebook at Playmakers Indoors South. 6124 Jefferson Highway, Harahan, Louisiana, 504-305-6078.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean, this is totally fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
Changing an industry is not easy, but it's happening thanks to new apps and startups. We're not using taxis or hotels as much. And with Casper, the way we buy mattresses is changing too. You know, they've turned the commission-driven mattress showroom on its head by creating one perfect mattress. I sleep on a Casper every night. It's how a good night's sleep is supposed to feel. And it's not just me that loves Casper. Time magazine named it one of the best inventions of 2015. You see, its two high-tech foams guarantee that you sleep cool and comfortable with all the support you need. It ships for free in a box so small you won't believe it actually holds a mattress. And you can try it for 100 nights, risk-free. You don't love it? They'll come and pick it up and refund you everything. No questions asked. For a guaranteed great night's sleep, do what I did. Get a Casper. Try it in your home for 100 nights with free shipping and returns. Go to Casper.com. Use code NATION for $50 towards the purchase of your mattress. That's Casper.com. Code NATION for $50 towards the purchase of your mattress. Casper.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Battlefield Live on WGSO 990 AM in New Orleans. And, of course, the Lanterns Radio Network. Chris and Trey, Chris on vacation, Trey here in studios in beautiful New Orleans, Louisiana. If you're not familiar with that word, then New Orleans. If you don't understand New Orleans. Check us out on lanterns.buzz. Go to radio.battlefield.buzz or www.lanterns.buzz. You can see everything that Chris and I do. And, of course, you can check out the Lanterns Radio Network. Got a ton of talent from all over the country. You can listen to live shows daily as well as podcasted shows. And so check out the Lanterns Radio Network. If you're on Twitter or Facebook, You can follow me at T-Rob Radio, and you can follow Chris at Paul Revere again. And, of course, if you go to your favorite search engine and just type in the hashtag Lanterns Buzz, you will be ushered into many, many of the things we do, from blogging to videos to social media, as well as, of course, the radio program. And so we're joined again by Lea Carawan. We've been spending some time with her. She is the president and executive director of the Congressional Prayer Caucus Foundation. And this is the 60th anniversary of our national motto, In God We Trust. And what's interesting about that, and Lea, I'd like if you could to give us just most people, of course, we see In God We Trust on our money. If you go to places like Washington, D.C., you'll see the motto sprinkled around in different places. But give folks who may not be familiar, give them a little history on America's 240 years old. Why is our motto only 60 years old?
Sure. Well, this year, like I said, marks the 60th anniversary, like you said. And that was the year, in 1956, July 30th, President Eisenhower actually officially wrote it into law. But as you mentioned, it's been speckled throughout our nation's history, scribed on our monuments and money, been proclaimed in the president's speeches, from Lincoln to Kennedy to Reagan. And honestly, one of the more popular times that we hear about In God We Trust is in the fourth verse of the Star-Spangled Banner, when Francis Scott Key saw our flag waving in the battle after it was our fort was attacked so heavily, and he wrote it in there. So we have had a long history, and I believe too it's written on the hearts of so many men and women. It's not just etched on our monuments; it's etched on our hearts, and frankly, most Americans know that In God We Trust is a fundamental characteristic of our nation and of our freedom, just like we were talking about in the last segment. But today, there's a disturbing and intentional attempt to remove God from our history and from our public conversation, and ultimately from the future of America. And I think most Americans, when they see not only the country slipping through their fingers, but they see In God We Trust being systematically stripped away as a guiding principle, it becomes important to them to reaffirm its central place in our nation. And that's why we launched the In God We Trust Put It Up campaign. It was after the House Resolution 13, after they passed a resolution to reaffirm In God We Trust as our national motto. And they added another clause that said, and encourage the public display of it in every school and government building. And so this year we've been joined by celebrities and hundreds of government leaders who have passed resolutions in their states to put In God We Trust up, or at least the national motto up in schools. We've had 240 law enforcement agencies putting In God We Trust, our national motto, up on their cars. And we have 1.3 million people who now have received a In God We Trust decal and have put it up on their home or car window. But basically, you can tell people, it's resonating with people. This is one of the biggest unifying actions they've taken in recent history. And we're just asking everybody, take a strong stand. Put God back up in America. Make a stand with our national motto.
President Eisenhower was, I look back historically, obviously I'm, born in the late 70s, so I'm way too young to actually remember the president. But studying him in history, he did two amazing things. One was the implementation, as you've just talked about the national motto, but two was adding the words under God into the Pledge of Allegiance. And from the things that I've read, General then President Eisenhower felt like that quite possibly the nation was lurching towards socialism and communism and ultimately an atheistic or a Marxist state. And it's kind of now, in considering the environment that we're in now, that's some considerable courage to step forward as a leader and to implement those sorts and to spearhead those sorts of policies, especially considering how lasting they are. And it is interesting how controversial they really are now. Your website that you're well, first of all, you guys are driving around in what looks like just a phenomenal bus, and you guys are at the RNC currently, and will be there through the 21st, and then you'll be driving. Looks like through Pennsylvania, and are you going to be at the Democratic convention as well?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. We'll be at the Democratic convention for all of the days there in Philadelphia, and then also on to Harrisburg, Baltimore, and end up ultimately in Washington, D.C. again on the 30th. But we take it seriously, praying for our leaders on both sides of the aisle.
Amen.
Every leader. So we feel like it's absolutely crucial. We'll be at both the conventions.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there are a ton of ways that you can get involved. If you go to InGodWeTrust.com, the ways that you can get involved and a lot of the resources are there. Listen, you can share this particular movement on Facebook. You can share it on Twitter. You can order your own decal. You can actually see the size of the window cling design and put it someplace where people can see it to show your support for our national motto. It's 4 simple words that in a time when there are a lot of powers that be and forces at work trying to divide our nation at its very fabric, this is something that, regardless of your political side of the aisle that you feel like you line up on, you can rally around the idea that it's in God that we do trust as a nation and in what has made us great. There's petitions you can sign. And look, if the fact that Chuck Norris inviting you doesn't scare you into participation, then I don't know what will. How did you guys, before we take our bottom of the hour break, how did you guys manage to get Chuck Norris involved?
Oh, Chuck Norris is a big supporter of all things religious freedom and God's place in America.
He is great.
He's a great American and a good man. I think he was eager to be a part.
Any other places, anything that I may have overlooked? I know you guys have some incredible PSAs. We're going to be running them on the radio station here, as well as you have some YouTube videos. Of course, people can use the hashtags in God We Trust. The 60th Blitz, hashtag 60th Blitz. Any other things that we can get on the air right now before we part ways that people can get involved?
No, I think that's it. I just appreciate all the work that you're doing to get this up, and I think people are realizing this is more than just 4 simple words. This is reaffirming our national spirit and what really makes this nation great. And we have to remember, freedom's never more than one generation away from extinction. And you just said it. Every generation, we have to reaffirm why America is great and make sure every one of us fights for it. So thank you, Trey, for putting the word out and letting people know about this great movement. In God We Trust, put it up.
Lea, God bless you, and Godspeed with all your work and safe travels.
Thank you.
That was Lea Carawan of the Executive Director and President of the Congressional Prayer Caucus Foundation. And again, check out their website. Go to InGodWeTrust.com. Coming up in about, we're at the bottom of the hour break, so we're going to take that break and pay a couple of bills. And when we come back, we'll be reaching out to author and scholar and commentator Ann Pierce. And we'll be talking a little bit about her new book, A Perilous Path. That and much, much more coming up on the Battlefield Live on WGSO.
This advertisement does not constitute an offer to sell a franchise. The offer of a franchise can only be made through the delivery of a franchise disclosure document.
Fresh Healthy Vending is a new company that is revolutionizing the vending machine business by filling them with healthy and natural foods. That's right. Protein and energy drinks, teas and juices, yogurts, fresh fruits and veggies, soy milk, natural cereals, granola bars. Can you imagine that? It's like having a whole food store in a machine. And you can get in on the ground floor by getting your own Fresh Healthy Vending franchise. You can have your own small business placing healthy food vending machines all over your area in places like schools and hospitals and businesses and airports and other high-traffic areas. Locations that embrace the idea because, they make money too. Full training and support and assistance in acquiring locations. It's all about timing, folks. Pick up the phone, make the call to Fresh Healthy Vending, and get all the details on what could be your big life moment. Get Fresh Healthy Vending franchise information now. Call 800-424-8282. 424-8282. That's 800-424-8282.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to mooch off your friends.
You gonna finish that grape?
You mean the one in my mouth?
You don't need to stop buying the necessities.
What you're smelling is a natural musk.
Ew.
You don't need to be a medical test subject.
How do you feel?
Mostly okay. Sometimes, though.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman. You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
All right, deal.
Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Your station for prep sports year-round. We are WGSO, 990 AM, New Orleans.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
It's time to win in November.
Among numerous speakers at Night 3 of the Republican National Convention in Cleveland is a former candidate himself, Marco Rubio.
After a long and spirited primary, the time for fighting each other is over. It's time to come together and fight for a new direction for America.
But minutes later, after Rubio speaks, former Donald Trump rival Ted Cruz tells the Republican delegates to vote their conscience. Cruz congratulating Trump for winning the nomination, but not giving anything close to an endorsement. Then Cruz is followed on stage by a more Trump-supportive speaker in Donald Trump's son, Eric.
It's time for a president who can make America great again. Ahead of budget and ahead of schedule, too.
Wall Street closes higher. This is USA Radio News.
Honey, I'm really worried about our retirement funds.
Oh, me too. We lost so much value in the recession in the stock market. I'm worried we won't have enough to retire.
Jim next door told me that he had set up a new kind of IRA with the Gold Silver Group. He said how simple and safe it was. It's a private storage IRA, and we could have real gold and silver in our hands.
Really? You mean we can actually see it and touch it?
Absolutely. Jim said we could have all the benefits of an IRA to help build our retirement income. Bottom line, we would own a real tangible asset, and we would have the security of knowing we're protected no matter what the economy does. What do you think?
I think we need to find out how to get our own private storage IRA. We need to call the Gold Silver Group right now.
Are you ready to protect your future? Call 800-295-7104 now to find out how easy and safe it is to set up a private storage IRA with Gold Silver Group and find out how you can qualify for up to $700 in free silver. All transactions are privately delivered and fully insured. Please call us now. 800-295-7104. 800-295-7104.
A Democrat.
Have you heard about AMAC? AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. They're the leading conservative organization in the nation for folks 50 and up. AMAC is a patriotic membership organization dedicated to defending the values that have made America great. Things like smaller government, fiscal responsibility, individual freedom, and family values. But that's not all. An AMAC membership gives you access to exceptional benefits like Medicare supplements and Advantage plans, special low rates on car insurance, roadside assistance, and discounts on hotels, car rentals, and major theme parks, and much more. AMAC reveres the Constitution, and unlike other senior organizations, AMAC lobbied Congress against Obamacare, not for it. People, take it from me and stand with well over 1 million other patriots by joining AMAC today. It's easy. Just visit AMAC's website at www.amac.us. That's www.amac.us. www.amac.us. Join AMAC today and tell them Mike Michael Savage sent you.
I have 2 cats and 2 dogs. All 4 of them are on the Dynavite. The stuff is amazing. The first day that I gave Sweet Pea and Daisy the Dynavite for cats, I did add a little bit of the Lick-a Chops, and they absolutely loved it. All the vitamins, the minerals, they also enjoyed the Num-Nums, the Nub-Nubs or whatever they're called, the treats that also came along with it.
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
They're just running through the house. They're playing. My Sweet Pea will walk in front of me. She'll stop where she's at, drop, and roll onto her back, and then expect me to rub her belly, just like a kitten. Daisy and Sweet Pea have a cat tree in my living room, and lately she's been climbing up to the top, jumping up there, and then she'll climb back down, and then she's right back up again. Oh, I'm sorry. I wish they would make a product for us humans to give us the same amount of energy and spunk that Dynavite for cats are given for my cats. The phone number is 859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Your product works well. I've noticed a tremendous difference because my hair is noticeably thicker and doesn't fall out when I brush it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's one real customer talking about real results he's getting from Provia Natural Hair Therapy. And now Chamonix is introducing the brand new Provia Super Concentrate. This little miracle bottle contains 4 times the power of the natural Provia ingredient for substantially faster and more visible results. I know this stuff works, folks, and the results are amazing. I stand behind Provia revitalizing the hair follicles, blocking DHT, and improving the appearance of healthy hair safely, naturally, and without side effects. You're only one phone call or one click away from stronger, fuller, younger-looking hair. And now when you try Provia, you will get the new Super Concentrate absolutely free with your order. I want you to call 800-543-5830. The new Provia Super Concentrate works, or you get your money back, period. For this limited time, risk-free offer, call 800-543-5830. That's 800-543-5830.
We're here to fix the machine.
Battlefield Live.
You're listening to the Battlefield Live with Chris and Trey on WGSO 990 AM in New Orleans and the Lanterns Radio Network. Hour 2 of the program. Thank you for joining us. If you didn't catch the first half of the show, why not? No, you can of course catch that on the podcast at WGSO.com, as well as in many locations that we at the Lanterns Radio Network podcast our material. And I mean by that Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spreaker, or you can just go to lanterns.buzz, click on Lanterns Radio, and then click the Battlefield, or just go to radio.battlefield.buzz. And you can find all of our hosts and all of our shows. We were joined in the first hour by Robyn Walensky of The Blaze. Excuse me, theblaze.com. And then we had Lea Carawan from the Congressional Prayer Caucus Foundation, talking about what they have going on. And I am really excited. I've never met our next guest, but just in the little bit that I've looked into her to prep for our interview, I'm just kind of a nerd like that. I cannot wait to talk to our next guest. Ann Pierce is an author, scholar, and commentator in the areas of American presidents, American foreign policy, and American society. And I may try to keep her for as long as I can. And welcome to the Battlefield Live with Chris and Trey.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And I want to jump right in. Your new book, you've written 3, but your newest book, A Perilous Path, The Misguided Foreign Policy of Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and John Kerry, begs so many questions. So let's start. How does anyone, let's start here. How does anyone objectively determine what is right or what is wrong foreign policy for the United States of America?
Well, I think that we learned so many lessons after World War II about what was wrong and about what we needed to do instead. I mean, after World War II, American leaders realized the folly of isolationism and of negotiating from a position of weakness. They saw the danger of appeasement, and they recognized the power and danger of ideas and words themselves, so they were already really worried about propaganda. And we came out of the horrors of World War II realizing that the problem wasn't just that our defenses were too small, but it was also that our hearts were too small. We were complacent in the face of escalating hostilities and atrocities. So our entire Cold War apparatus, from Truman to Kennedy to Reagan, was built upon this idea that we had to have strong defensive power and alliances, but we also had to project democratic ideals and stand up for principles of human dignity. And just to add one more thing, I mean,
Sure.
I think that is what is missing. That is what is missing today, both attention to defensive power and attention to those ideals.
In talking about the misguided foreign policy, you look at this administration, you look at what in every major opportunity, it seems, and I know you've probably done the research to either confirm or refute what I'm about to say, but it just feels like the United States, due to the leadership of this administration, has ended up on the wrong side of every opportunity. People that we should view as enemies and therefore be suspicious of sitting down at the bargaining or negotiating table, we aren't. And people that have been historically friends or allies, we have done our best to in fact create them as or make them an enemy. So I mean everything from there was a secular uprising in Iran. We chose not to stand with them. We chose the mullahs. We sided with the Muslim Brotherhood over the secular government of Egypt. We allowed the overthrow of Libya and basically allowed Al-Qaeda of North Africa. We were caught with our hands down when we lost our ambassador in Benghazi in a gun running program from Libya into Turkey into Syria. Look what just happened in Turkey. I mean, we came down on the side of Erdogan. We had boots on the ground. We had Obama administration people on the ground actively campaigning against Bibi Netanyahu. I mean, just every single time we seem to have been on the wrong side. And at some point, don't you just have, I mean, like, this is not just because of incompetence. This is just wrong ideology. I mean, would you agree with that?
Oh, I completely agree with you. And I like the word you chose there, ideology, because I think if you look at members of the Obama foreign policy team, they all, to varying degrees, including Hillary Clinton, believed that the United States had too often in history overstepped its reach, placed too much emphasis on its own democratic principles and way of life, and failed to appreciate and accommodate other political systems, and had poured too much money into defense and had been so-called arrogant in the use of power. And this led to this belief that somehow if we reached out to the world's worst dictators and downgraded our emphasis upon alliances, that we could somehow create a unified but morally neutral world in which we could all get along. But of course, the world doesn't operate that way. As we tone down our American selves, the world's worst regimes and the world's extremists saw that as an opportunity. And of course, today you see the world exploding all over. And those are Chuck Hagel's own words, Obama's former Secretary of Defense.
Now, if we look at, here we have, some would argue, in the nomination of Donald Trump for the Republican Party, clearly, if Hillary Clinton, which, she'll be nominated next week, but if she's elected as president, seeing how she, as Secretary of State, she fought hard to keep, I believe it was Boko Haram off of the terror watch list. The complete arrogance of the handling of Muammar Gaddafi and Libya, that being the Obama gift to here, run this foreign policy. That'll be your little victory for this time when you're running around campaigning for president in 4 years. With Hillary, I feel like we know that we're going to continue down this perilous path that you write about in your book of this misguided foreign policy of the current, administration. But if you could speak to what you, a little bit of foretelling, if you will, of what you could potentially see from someone like a Donald Trump, someone who has a nationalistic kind of almost a right-wing European vision for our foreign policy for America. Can you kind of speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, one thing I would say about Clinton is it's really important to remember that she climbed willingly on board the Obama foreign policy agenda. She was full part of the reset and reaching out to dictators and downgrading alliances and failing to speak out for human rights in Syria, North Korea, Iran, and elsewhere.
And taking contributions to her foundation.
Yes, and negotiating with dictators with no preconditions and announcing in advance that we didn't have conditions.
Wow.
An example would be the START treaty with Russia. I mean, to negotiate away a strength that we didn't need to negotiate away was sort of characteristic of her foreign policy. And listening to her now, you'd think she had a strong moral position and a strong national security position.
And who gave her the idea and that the Office Depot red button was a good idea?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Right. We had gotten to a position of strength, which led to the fall of the Soviet Union.
Right.
And once the Soviet Union fell, there was reason to reach out to Russia and to engage and to talk. But there was also reason with Putin in power to fear
That's
Russia and to have our defenses up and to act quickly when they started to, for example, amass forces into Ukraine.
Or even way back when they went into Georgia.
Yes. We knew there was a pattern here.
Right.
We had every reason to be leery and every reason to stay alert and keep NATO strong. And, of course, as you said, referring to this upside-down policy, what did we do instead? We announced that we were going to dismantle plans for missile defense in Poland.
Right.
And the Czech Republic, and that, of course, was sending the wrong message.
Once again, right? We have to take a quick break, but can you stick around through the break and come back?
I sure can.
Okay. When we come back from the break, we're going to continue our conversation with Ann Pierce. She is the author of the new book, A Perilous Path, The Misguided Foreign Policy of Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and John Kerry. This is The Battlefield Live on WGSO 990 AM in New Orleans. We'll be right back.
Playmakers Indoor Sports offers youth and adult leagues for soccer and flag football, NFL youth flag football, and youth developmental programs. Playmakers TOTS program is a youth development program for children ages 18 months to 7 years. Playmakers TOTS uses sports like soccer, football, baseball, and basketball to help kids work on motor development, learn to work together, follow directions, and improve listening skills while learning that activity is fun. To register for classes, go to our registration page at playmakersindoor.com or call 504-305-6078. Playmakersindoor.com. 6124 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean,
like
this is totally fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
Did you know there's an approved healthcare choice just for Christians that's founded on the timeless principles in God's Word? It's not insurance. It's MediShare. Over 189,000 believers across America who love God and share each other's healthcare bills. It's about half the cost of health insurance, and you never pay for medical practices that go against your Christian beliefs. Best of all, the healthcare law includes a special provision for MediShare members, so you don't have to buy insurance or face penalties. MediShare is affordable health care without compromise.
Learn how thousands of Christians can help you save on your health care. For your free information guide, call 844-43-BIBLE. Not available in Montana. MediShare, affordable biblical health care. Call 844-43-BIBLE. That's 844-43-BIBLE.
504-556-9696 is the number if you want to be a part of the program. Battlefield Live on WGSO 990 AM. We are joined by Ann Pierce. She's the author of A Perilous Path, the misguided foreign policy of Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and John Kerry. Ann, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Vladimir Putin, since you brought him up before the break, has been on record several times that he feels like the biggest tragedy of the 20th century was the fall of the Soviet Union. And we can look at history and we can see that perestroika was really, I guess in essence, the Soviet Union really didn't collapse. It collapsed economically, but it really just kind of, all the party leaders, if you will, took off their uniforms and donned suits and traded in their communist cards for business cards, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. Do you believe down deep inside that Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and John Kerry, do you think people like them agree with Vladimir Putin? They too believe that's probably one of the worst things to happen in the 20th century was the fall of the Soviet Union?
I don't believe that, but I do believe that outreach to dictators, including Putin, has been a linchpin of their foreign policy. And I do believe that they put the ideal of a unified world over the ideal of a just world and a world where people can live with some dignity and human rights. They tend to really take seriously the rights, if regimes had rights, of regimes. And to not think too much about the rights of the people within regimes. And that was why when you asked me about Donald Trump, I sort of started out by talking about Clinton, because I think whatever we do, we need to move away from Obama-Clinton-Kerry foreign policy with all its moral and strategic deficits that have so much to do with the world we're in now. But I am somewhat concerned, based on some of Trump's statements, that he could be a variety of a similar theme. I'm hoping that he will not allow the country to slouch toward isolationism and protectionism,
right,
which will only create more vacuums and more opportunities for extremist groups and extremist regimes. And I am concerned about some of his sympathetic comments about dictators like Putin, because the last thing the world needs is more damaging and devastating deals with dictators. We as a country do our best, I believe, we have the best outcomes when we combine moral and strategic concerns in our foreign policy, like Truman did, like Reagan did, like our best Cold War presidents did. So we're concerned both with global stability and peace and defense, but we're also concerned with human rights and political freedom and basically with human beings. So I'm hoping that Trump puts a really strong foreign policy team in place. I very much want to move away from the Clinton, Obama, Kerry years.
I think hopefully most of America does, but I guess we'll find that out for sure come November. Let's talk a little bit about something that just happened, and I don't know necessarily if it got the coverage. I mean, it's getting a little bit of coverage, but of course, I think our domestic news and everything with the police officers as well as the conventions coming up have kind of overshadowed it, and that's what's going on in Turkey. Should we take Erdogan? Should we take him seriously? Is he just a second world clown? Was this coup attempt? Was it staged? Did he kind of set it up for himself to root out his opposition? And what are some of the ramifications in that Turkey is a NATO ally, yet they are they're probably the biggest clients for ISIS's black market oil business. And so, I mean, there's just a whole bunch of, Syria with the Russian connection. And of course, we're in there doing the bidding of the Saudis, and there's the pipeline that they want to run through, and Assad's not having it. And now Erdogan's calling himself, the head of all Muslims this to me, and I don't do any of the research that I know you probably do. This seems like it can go from bad to worse really quick.
Yes. My take on this is that Turkey was a needed ally.
A buffer, right?
That Erdogan had Islamist tendencies, but as prime minister and then president, he was in favor of Turkey being part of the EU, and he was actually moderate compared to a lot of Middle Eastern leaders.
Right.
And it's important, people weren't paying much attention to Turkey at the time, so it's not that people should remember, but since I was researching it, when Obama took over, Turkey had embraced some market and political reforms and was actually increasingly cooperative with the United States on strategic matters. So what I believe is that Erdogan now, it's good that he has managed to survive the coup, but his crackdown and the way he's using the coup as an excuse for more Islamist authority over the Turkish people is definitely a threat to the stability of the region. Just to take it to another level, I'd like to picture what Erdogan might have done if we had taken a strong anti-Assad stance, because Turkey, along with France, along with some other countries, were really encouraging us as Assad's atrocities escalated absolutely out of control, some of the worst the world has ever seen, and the United States did nothing. Turkey became more and more afraid of the Syrian regime and more tempted to sort of, on the one hand, fight ISIS, but on the other, sort of look the other way as ISIS militants streamed across their border to fight Assad. And so everything is so tied together over there. If we had taken a stronger moral and strategic position vis-a-vis Syria, Russia, and Iran in that part of the world, and if we had applied some pressure on Erdogan as opposed to just letting things spiral out of control, I think we'd have a very different situation there. But this is not to minimize the crackdown. It's awful, and there are nuclear weapons stored in the air base there, so there's a lot to worry about.
And I have to have you back I want to do a couple of segments with you on ships without a shore. My wife and I are parent ministers, and so I'm picking up that book very soon. And so please come back again. We'd love to talk to you about that.
Okay, I'd love to. Well, thanks a lot for having me.
No problem. We'll be back after this quick timeout on the Battlefield Live on WGSO.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean, this is totally fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
Playmakers Indoor Sports. TOTS program is one of Playmakers' most popular. Our professionally developed curriculum provides our TOTS with a variety of fun games and exercise in a positive, enjoyable, and exciting environment. These great games help your little one develop their motor skills, create confidence, improve their listening skills, and learn how to follow directions, all while promoting fitness and activity. Our TOTS groups range from 18 months to 7 years. Sign up your little tot today or call 504-305-6078. PlaymakersIndoor.com.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
It's time to win in November.
Among numerous speakers at Night 3 of the Republican National Convention in Cleveland is a former candidate himself, Marco Rubio.
After a long and spirited primary, the time for fighting each other is over. It's time to come together and fight for a new direction for America.
But minutes later, after Rubio speaks, former Donald Trump rival Ted Cruz tells the Republican delegates to vote their conscience. Cruz congratulating Trump for winning the nomination, but not giving anything close to an endorsement. Then Cruz is followed on stage by a more Trump-supportive speaker in Donald Trump's son, Eric.
It's time for a president who can make America great again, ahead of budget and ahead of schedule, too.
Wall Street closes higher. This is USA Radio News.
Honey, I'm really worried about our retirement funds.
Oh, me too. We lost so much value in the recession in the stock market. I'm worried we won't have enough to retire.
Jim next door told me that he had set up a new kind of IRA with the Gold Silver Group. He said how simple and safe it was. It's a private storage IRA, and we could have real gold and silver in our hands.
Really? You mean we can actually see it and touch it?
Absolutely. Jim said we could have all the benefits of an IRA to help build our retirement income. Bottom line, we would own a real tangible asset, and we would have the security of knowing we're protected no matter what the economy does. What do you think?
I think we need to find out how to get our own private storage IRA. We need to call the Gold Silver Group right now.
Are you ready to protect your future? Call 800-295-7104 now to find out how easy and safe it is to set up a private storage IRA with Gold Silver Group and find out how you can qualify for up to $700 in free silver. All transactions are privately delivered and fully insured. Please call us now. 800-295-7104. 800-295-7104.
This is Jeff Cruier with my commentary of the day. After another deadly shooting in Baton Rouge, we've seen far too many of our police officers targeted by radicals and folks that are connected with racist organizations. In Baton Rouge, the killer was Gavin Long, associated with the Nation of Islam. The killer in Dallas was associated with the Black Panther Party. We've seen violence from those associated with Black Lives Matter. Here's the thing. All lives matter. Police officers, Americans of all races. It's time for America to come together to fight crime. And we need political leadership that is going to tell the American people exactly what we are facing. We're facing an attack on unity in this country, an attack on law and order, and we desperately need new leadership that's going to emphasize law and order and emphasize that this is one country. Americans of all races need to come together to promote this great land.
More info on this and the other hot topics of the day, check out ringsidepolitics.com.
Hi, Eric Asher, host of Inside New Orleans. For the best in New Orleans news, sports, politics, and entertainment, join me weekdays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 990 WGSO.
Hello, this is David Jeremiah. Join me each weekday morning at 5:30 or 6:30 for Turning Point here on Talk Radio 990 AM.
Alex Jones.
I have believed from the very beginning these are real grassroots uprisings all over the Middle East, North Africa. But when the globalists came out and bragged that they were behind El Baradi and others and are trying to take credit for it, clearly they knew that these rebellions were coming, so they triggered it to make sure their people got in. So I think everybody who's been looking at this from different perspectives has been right.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones.
Sunday evenings at 7 on WGSO.
Hey, New Orleans, this is Sue May with the Cannon Hospice Health Hour. Join us to get the latest and most up-to-date health information here on WGSO.
Saturdays at 12 noon.
Welcome back to the Battlefield Live on WGSO 990 AM. Trey Roberts, and we got the last quarter of the program here. I wanted to go back and just we will absolutely have Ann Pierce back. I was telling our young producer here in the studio that I could have spent another 30 minutes with her easily, because someone who does the type of research, the type of scholarship that she does to understand the threats around the world and the uniqueness of each country and each regime and each dictator and each despot and how they affect the United States. I mean, there's literally, it's a big world. You know, you can spend a lot. We didn't even touch on China. You know, we really didn't get into the BRIC nations. We could have talked a lot about economics, but so you got to go check her out. You got to go just check out her website, AnnRPierce.com, Ann, A-N-N-E, the letter R, Pierce, Pierce.com, or you can just go to Amazon and type in A Perilous Path, and you can pick up her newest book. It's on Kindle, and she also has it on hardcover. She's got two other books that look really interesting. I mentioned that I wanted to have her back on her book called Ships Without a Shore, America's Under-Nurtured Children. And it looks really, really interesting because she talks about childhood in America and how, for better or not, it's changed. And my wife and I, it's funny because just yesterday we were talking about this topic in the sense that her book talks about how a lot of moms and, well, a lot of parents in general, you know, they throw their kids in summer camps or daycares and all kinds of exhausting array of activities for their children. And we've gotten away from the idea and the concepts of nurturing children. And we've kind of traded it for the material aspects of things because those ideas are archaic and now irrelevant. A lot of parents believe the more lessons you put your kids in, the more sports they're involved in, the better. Innocence and knowledge are not as important as worldly attitudes and competitive skills. So, I mean, man, she is absolutely correct. So I will definitely reach out to her and we'll have her on again. And her other book is actually called Woodrow Wilson and Harry Truman, Mission and Power in American Foreign Policy. So that could be very, I could, like I said, I could spend literally 3 hours and we could talk about one book and one book and one book. So check her out, AnnRPierce.com, A Perilous Path, the Misguided Foreign Policy of Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and John Kerry. I wanted to get back to, I guess I've kind of had some time to process through the show what I heard from Ted Cruz. And I don't like to listen. I don't like to watch the debates, especially of the candidates that I think I'm probably going to go vote for. So I never watched any of the Republican debates the first go round. I always tried to listen to the debates because I wanted to hear what they were saying, not see how they were saying things. Because the cameras manipulate the natural flow. Ted Cruz might say something on stage and Donald Trump sitting there shaking his head, making a funky face or something, and that's what you see. And or you got Marco Rubio sipping on some water because he's nervous and his mouth is dry. He's got a cotton mouth. Chris Christie reaching down to get a donut or something. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. But I listened, and Ted Cruz gave a bold, brilliant, powerful speech at the Republican convention. I mean, one of the things that I really like, and Robyn in the first segment of the show, or in the first half of the show, she hit this on the head. I mean, he is really smart, and he articulated the principles of conservatism. He's the best to me since Reagan. I mean, he lifted up the Constitution. He spoke about the beauty and necessity of freedom. And then he urged the crowd to go to the polls and vote their conscience. And he got booed off stage. And Donald Trump, again proving himself to be a petulant little brat, walked into the hall to step on Cruz's speech and steal his thunder in the end. So at the end of Ted Cruz's speech, you have Donald Trump walking out and people focusing on him. And if you remember, very similar to what he did, that being Donald Trump, to Glenn Beck at a campaign spot, I want to say in Iowa, maybe Nevada. No, Cruz didn't go out there and endorse Trump. Now, for that, I'm going to be honest with you, I have the utmost respect for. Because there were reports circulating all day online that the RNC threatened to dish some dirt on Cruz if he didn't endorse, but Cruz stuck to his guns. Donald Trump, from a principles standpoint, and if you don't believe me, just ask Andrew Breitbart. Andrew Breitbart is the one who probably said it best, nailed it on just hit it on the nose as it pertains to Donald Trump. And this was, obviously, Breitbart is dead now, but he hit it perfectly on. This was back in 2011. I just want to play this clip for you real quick, just to kind of remind you of what Andrew Breitbart said about Donald Trump.
Andrew, is Donald Trump a conservative?
Of course he's not a conservative. He was for Nancy Pelosi before he was against Nancy Pelosi. But this is a message to those candidates who are languishing at 2% and 3% within the Republican Party, who are brand names in Washington, but the rest of the country don't know. Leslie is absolutely correct about star and celebrity. Celebrity is everything in this country. And if these guys don't learn how to play the media the way that Barack Obama played the media last election cycle and the way that Donald Trump is playing the election cycle, we're going to probably get a celebrity candidate.
Wow. Leslie, Andrew, thanks for joining us this evening.
Trump is definitely the definition of a celebrity candidate, and he's not a conservative. And here's the thing. In a time when principles really don't matter, the fact that Cruz he stuck to his guns even under the pressure of the Republican Party, I'm again reminded why I left the Republican Party. Why I'm not, after I ran for office in kind of a niche attempt to defeat Bobby Jindal, another progressive rhino Republican. But I want a part of what it. I don't want to be a part of what it's become. The Republican Party, it's a shame, it's a disgrace, and it's an embarrassment. I mean, put everything else aside for a moment. The fact that Trump is a leftist fraud and so forth, and let's just concentrate on the fact that Donald Trump slandered Ted Cruz's father, insulted and threatened his wife, and Trump has never apologized for these things. And in fact, he's actually defended doing them. All the other political concerns notwithstanding, there is simply no way that an honorable man, can kiss the ring of a bully who demeaned and degraded his father and wife. A man of honor cannot do that. There's no way. And I would have thought less of Ted Cruz tonight had he stepped out there and did what Marco Rubio did, which Donald Trump destroyed little Marco. And little Marco ran out there and kissed the ring. And you got a lot of Trump fans who I know are going to jump on Twitter and have been doing this. They've been. I haven't been to Ted's Twitter feed yet, but I know that they're attacking Cruz for not endorsing him. But I wonder if the Trumpkin men and women out there would actually become a public surrogate for someone who offended the dignity of their own wives and fathers. I wonder, was the Trumpkin women who think that their own husband had supported someone who bullied and attacked them? I can't answer that question for all the Trumpkins out there. Maybe you can. 504-556-9696. But all I can say is that a true man knows where his priorities are, and it's simply more important to stand by your family than by your party. And besides that, the party has made it pretty clear that it wants nothing to do with conservatives. Ted Cruz was electric tonight. He showed what kind of candidate he's been, the kind of general election candidate we could be witnessing right now. But the voters just didn't want truth and principle. They wanted something else, and now they got it. And all I can say is Cruz 2020, baby. We'll be back after this quick timeout on the Battlefield Live on WGSO 990 AM.
Join us at Playmakers Indoor South every summer and holiday for our multi-sport camps. $25 a day, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. with before care from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and after care from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. available for $5. Soccer, flag football, basketball, wiffle ball, relay games, lacrosse, and much, much more. Plenty of spots available. Contact Playmakers Indoor Sports, 6124 Jefferson Highway in Harahan, or call 504-305-6078 or sign up today at playmakersindoor.com. Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean, this is totally fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
4 years ago, Dinesh D'Souza's film 2016 blew the whistle on Obama. It infuriated the Obama people who found an excuse to lock Dinesh up overnight for 8 months in a federal confinement center. Dinesh used this experience to learn about how criminals operate and applied that knowledge to his latest film, Hillary's America, The Secret History of the Democratic Party. This isn't just another anti-Hillary movie, because it's not just about Hillary. It is an historic look at the Democratic Party, delving deep into their traditions and blowing the lid off the hypocrisy hypocrisy of their origin. You know the Democrats say that they're the party of racial justice, social justice, the middle class, and the ordinary guy. But Hillary's America will destroy these lies. Hillary's America tells the story of Hillary Clinton's corrupt nature and the corrupt nature of her party. Everyone needs to see this movie before they vote. Hillary's America opens in theaters on July 22nd. To purchase tickets, go to Hillary'sAmericaTheMovie.com. Rated PG-13, may be inappropriate for children under 13. Hillary'sAmericaTheMovie.com.
Welcome back to the Battlefield Live on WGSO 990 in NOLA. Final segment, the wrap-up segment of the Battlefield Live. Do me a favor and go check out lanterns.buzz. And once you've done that, you can also follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook. You can check out the YouTube channel, Lanterns Buzz. We're on SoundCloud, Player.fm. We're on Spreaker. We're on Google Plus, iTunes, Google Play, and, of course, Stitcher. You can go to all those places. We try to, as many ways possible, for you to listen to the Battlefield Live. And in most cases, if you just type in the Battlefield Live, you're good to go. Tomorrow on the show, we have scheduled to be on the program Scott McKay, the founder and editor-in-chief of the Hayride.com. If you don't follow Scott on Facebook, I suggest you do so because it is pretty. He writes some really, really clever stuff. Also joining us tomorrow night, Pastor Stephen Broden. If you remember, Pastor Broden is he was the chief architect, if you will, for the pastors that stepped up and they challenged the IRS and the 501c3 free speech laws that came up, and he kind of spearheaded that thing. And Pastor Broden every Tuesday has been recruiting people to join him in prayer for the nation. So, and then on Friday we have scheduled Jesse Lee Peterson. If you're not familiar with Jesse Lee Peterson, he's the president and founder of Bond, the Brotherhood Organization of a New Destiny, an American religious nonprofit dedicated to rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. Jesse Lee Peterson probably is most known for his thankfulness for his ancestors' slavery. He is the guy who thanked God that his ancestors were in fact slaves, because it gives him the opportunity today as a free man in the United States to pursue everything that God has created him and purposed in him to become. So he'll be there. And then Patrick Hampton, you may not be familiar with Patrick Hampton. Patrick Hampton started the hashtag Boycott Beyonce after the Super Bowl, where she came out there and did a whole Black Lives Matter, Black Panther performance at the Super Bowl halftime show. And it grew to like tens of thousands within hours. And he caught some attention from that. And then he also started a foundation out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, called All Lives Matters Foundation. And he's one of the few people who really puts in he's just a phenomenal human being. Is one of my wife's absolute favorite individuals to read the things that they post on social media. And so he and Jesse will be on the program on Friday, so stick around for that. So let's go to the phone lines. We're going to go to line one. We're going to go to Rusty in New Orleans. Rusty, welcome to the Battlefield Live on WGSO.
Hi, Trey. Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening.
Listen, I don't know who I'm going to vote for.
Me either.
And when it comes to November.
Hey, we don't have to decide right now, Rusty. That's the great thing.
I agree 100%. And I think what Ted Cruz said is let our conscience be our God. I
That's
think
right.
A lot of people are forgetting about that.
And listen to this, Rusty. Were you watching it? Because maybe you can speak more intelligently about this. I was driving in, so I didn't see it. Did you watch the speech?
No, I heard it on radio.
Okay, so all the reports coming out is what you just said, that because I heard Ted Cruz say that. He said go up and down the ballot and vote your conscience. And you know what the Trump delegates on the floor did? They stood up and booed him.
Oh, yeah, I could hear it.
And that's amazing. I mean, that's so emblematic
I know.
of everything that we're talking about. And, Rusty, I don't want to be a part of that. That makes me not want to vote for him.
The conservative people have let go a very big part of this election, which is character.
Yes.
And it's sad to me. I'm not sure if I'm going to vote for this guy. I'm waiting to as long as I can.
I want him to woo me. I mean, like, I know you said you didn't need my vote to get the nomination, but do you even want, like, make me believe that you want my vote in the general?
Yeah, and you said something earlier, Trey. He never bothered to apologize for any of the things that you brought up, including accusing his dad and implicating him in the assassination of JFK.
What about his surrogates with the fake Mistress National Enquirer story that Ted Cruz was somehow sleeping with all these women, one of them being his own spokeswoman?
He was merciless, Donald Trump. He had no respect for anybody, and Ted Cruz was the epitome of the anti-establishment candidate. He fought the establishment within the establishment, while Donald Trump was giving his money to people who were Democrats.
Rusty, he did it again tonight. He got out there on the floor of the belly of the beast, the Republican convention, with a lifelong Democrat and Democrat donor getting the nomination for the Republican Party, and he got out there, articulated clear, conservative, small government principles, and did so without having to compromise, and he kept all of his honor.
Yes, he did. And
look, Ted Cruz 2020.
I told a friend of mine, Ted Cruz would have to be against himself in order to go out there and endorse Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
You know, the thing is, Ted Cruz, every time he mentioned Ted Cruz's name, he called him a liar.
Right.
And the truth is, if he would have endorsed him tonight, he would have supported everything that Donald Trump said about him.
That's correct.
And to me, everything you said about it is right on. I hope and pray that even though I don't want to see Hillary get in there, that a lot of people just take more time to weigh who Donald Trump is and look up the information and who he is before they pull the lever.
And vote your conscience. Thank you, Rusty. I appreciate the phone call. Let's go to line 2 and Phil, the Patriot, from the late night Patriot Cave. What's up, Phil?
Hey, listen, I want to call in. You know, I was listening to Sister Kathleen Benfield's show today, and they was talking about some kind of frog that's on the endangered species and how they want to take these people's land over.
Oh, really?
They won't let them use the land, all that stuff. Yeah, you know, I can tell you, the government will lie and do anything they can to steal your property through eminent domain, through this endangered species and that endangered species and this endangered species. But brothers and sisters, I'm going to tell you something. Ever since 1973, baby humans that are born in this country have become an endangered species. Now the borders are wide open. There's death and disease pouring across the borders with drugs and everything else. Now American citizens are becoming an endangered species, and everybody already knows that policemen are becoming an endangered species. So wake up!
Thank you, Phil. There's always a way to end the program, and I love that Phil calls in and gets almost like a final parting word into the show. Thank you, Philip. Listen, I think that there is just think about this, okay? Just think about this. All that Ted Cruz did was say to vote your conscience. I mean, think about that. He said to let your conscience be the guide and do what you think is right. He was inclusive. He was principled. And, look, there's Larry Elder. If you're looking at Fox, he's going to be on the program next week. That gentleman right there, Larry Elder. And I just picked up one of his books yesterday. And phenomenal, by the way. The 10 Things You Can't Say in America. And every single chapter in that book starts off with stupid blacks. Stupid blacks and Katrina. Stupid blacks and racism. And, of course, if you don't know, Larry Elder is a black man. So Thank you to our young producer, and he did some very interesting things tonight with Alka-Seltzer. Hopefully he feels better. And thank you to WGSO. I hope my buddy Chris is enjoying his vacation. We missed him tonight. 2 great programs coming up in the next 2 days. Good night, NOLA.